Okay, Cam, joining us on the show this week, helping our celebration for Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation. He's a man who's appeared in some of the world's greatest spy franchises. He's fought hand to hand with Ethan Hunt and James Bond. It's the one and only Jens Hultén. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for that introduction.
Well, there's not many people that could say they have fought off two of the world's greatest spies.
I don't know if there is anyone. Maybe there is one more. I don't know, but I'm kind of on top of that one.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't beat either of them, but you gave it a try.
That goes with that comes with a deal. You can
And you know what?
you can hit them. You can hit them, but you can't kill them. Exactly. Goes with the job. Exactly. No. They. But actually, it wasn't Ethan that killed me. It was her. It was Rebecca.
It was Ilsa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's sweet. She's Swedish as well.
Yeah, I actually, it was going back to Rogue Nation. I didn't realize that she could speak Swedish, and that's actually
she is Swedish.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that at all. That's
but
lack
she's
of
also
research.
English. But she's English as well, so she's 50-50. So for her, the English language is like her first language as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll come to Rogue Nation because that happens after Skyfall. But let's walk that path into Skyfall. But taking us back to the beginning for you, Jens, why did you want to get into the acting game in the first place? What gave you the bug?
Oh, that was many years ago, in the middle of the 90s, I suppose. I was sitting with a friend I actually met. He was 20 years older than me. Then he was an actor in Sweden. And I sat one night at his house and we drank whiskey at that time when I was drinking. That was a long time ago. So we were sitting there and he asked me, okay, what do you want to do with your life? And I said, acting. And I don't know what that come from because I never thought of that before. And he said, okay, maybe I can try help you. And then we started to read plays in his apartment for going into drama school and stuff. And he learned me the basics of what it's all about and how, and that's the way it started. And then I started to go for all this drama schools and trying to get in and auditions and stuff. But I could never get in. I don't know why. It wasn't my thing to stand there, and I was looking at myself from the outside, so I couldn't really go. I mean, I came from martial arts, and I was working as a bouncer, and I was doing sports and athletics and martial arts, kick and Thai boxing. So for me, standing there and reading Shakespeare or whatever was a strange thing, but I loved it so much. So I thought, like, this is what I'm going to do. But it took a long time before I got there. But in the end, so that was the first start when the seed was like put in the ground.
Well, then, that's the mid-1990s, as you say. And the two films we're going to focus on today is Skyfall, that's 2012.
Yeah.
Obviously, something happens in between to kickstart the career. What was that first big role that actually sort of broke you out?
The first big role, I mean, I did a lot of small parts in Sweden. I was working in an avant-garde theater here in Stockholm, and that was like a very cool stage to be on in the theater world. And I was doing that, and I was doing small parts in Swedish television and films and stuff. But at that time, I had some problem with alcohol and drugs, so I was doing that at the same time. Mm-hmm. And that was, in the end, it stopped me. I couldn't do anything without getting drunk or high or whatever. So I stopped that shit for now. It's 26 years ago. At that time, yeah, thanks. And when I was through with that shit, then I had to start over again because I burnt a few bridges in the beginning. Sure. But people were talking about me. That's a talented guy, and you should take a look at him. But I stopped myself because I didn't present myself in that way I should. But when that stopped, I met a director that I knew before. I worked with him a little bit, and he was doing a television series called The Grave, 8-episode police thriller drama. And he was actually seeing me in the studio, and he was saying, that was Jens. I would like to call him. And then he called me up and said, maybe I got a big part for you. And that came out from nowhere. I didn't have to audition or anything. So he gave me that one, and that was the start. But after that, it goes like ups and downs and small jobs and no jobs and small jobs and, you know, all that. But that was the first big one. And then 2009, I was doing a series in Sweden called Johan Falk. And in that one, I was playing the main villain, Seth Riddell, and he was like bald, tattooed, you know, the typecast of a gangster.
Sure.
And I probably did that so well, so I become very famous in Sweden for that part. And that sets the whole machine off. And then I did films and theater after, and, you know, I got myself a name. And then after a while, Skyfall and everything. So that was like the ball was starting to roll, so to speak.
Well, how do you sort of enter then the arena for a Bond film? Because that's a job many people want, is to work in a Bond film. How do they kind of find you?
Oh, that's the story. I was on my way to Hamburg in Germany to do a Swedish-German crime series, 1 or 2 episodes, like a guest role. And at the airport, I heard someone say, Jens! And I'm like, who the hell is that? And then I saw a woman who is a casting director in Sweden. And she was there with her husband and on the transit bus. And she said, what are you doing here? Well, I'm going to do this television series here for a couple of days. Oh, I got a thing for you. I actually forgot about you because now we're casting for something quite spectacular. And I said, okay, what? Well, I can't say. Come on. So, James Bond. Okay, fine. So you want me to come in? Yeah, can you call me when you can come back from Germany? And I did. And she said, yes, you going to read a monologue. Can you do that until tomorrow? And it was 2 pages of monologue. It was actually the monologue that Mads Mikkelsen used when he was beating Daniel Craig up in Casino Royale. You know, and it's a fantastic monologue. But to learn that one in English for me as a Swedish guy for 24 hours, it's almost impossible. But I was sitting here and I read it, and you know, I tried to memorize as much as I could. And in the end, if you get something in, when you wake up, everything is gone because the brain had to put the puzzle in. You know, it takes its time. But I went to because then the casting director, Debbie McWilliams, she's the greatest casting director in England. She's been doing almost every James Bond, right?
For a long time.
For a long time. So she was sitting there in that hotel room when I arrived. And she was, for me, it was like meeting the real M. She was really there. And she was big goggles like that. And she was saying, oh, okay, wait a minute, darling. I just had to finish something up on the laptop. Can you help me with the computer? No. I said, no, that's not my thing. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, darling, sit down. And who are you? And then I started to talk about myself. And she said, okay, just let's do this. We try to read it. And I was like, okay, action. I was totally blank. There came nothing. My brain was totally stuck. So I said, I'm so sorry. I don't remember anything. This is going to be bad. So I can't, sorry. And she said, okay, but try to read from the paper. It's no problem. And then I started to read from the paper. But at the time, I was starting to have this age with eyes. You can't read properly the older you get. And, you know. So I had another pair of glasses, kind of small reading glasses. I was sitting like this. And she said, okay, stop you there, darling. You know, right now you're looking like Santa Claus. Could you please put up your glasses or take them off? And I was like, come on, this is unbelievable. But I did my best and it was horrible. And then I said, okay, and she asked the other casting director, "So where did you find this lovely young man?" Yeah, I know him from before. Yeah, can you do stunts? Yeah, actually, I can fight. I'm pretty good at doing fighting scenes because I have like 35, 40 years of martial arts in my backbone. So yeah, okay, good to know. Good to know. Well, darling, thank you. And that's it. Yeah. And then I came home, and then I actually called my casting director. I said, Tusse, that was a big fuck up for me. Can I try to do this again with a fair chance? Because the other guys, 10, 15 people from Sweden before me, they had got their time. So she was just taking me in on because she saw me. So I came in like the little tail that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I didn't get the same preparation as the other guys. So please, can I do this again? Yes, you can, she said. Try to do it at home and send it in to me in the end of this week. And there you go. And then I did that one again. It went much better. And I sent it in, but then I forgot about the whole thing. And I didn't hear anything for months. And then my agent at that time called me up and said, you know, Jens, Sam Mendes would like to see you in London. Okay. So then,
Sure.
yeah, sure. And there was another guy, the guy who did Ola from Sweden. He did
Ola Rapace.
Ola Rapace, yeah. So the Swedish paper was already written about Ola Rapace is going to do the next Bond villain. And then I thought, so why do they want to see me? Because if he's going to do it, why should I even? But I went there anyway, and they were not finished with him. It wasn't like he was supposed to do it in the first place. I mean, they were thinking about him, but the Swedish newspaper was, yeah, he's the next one. So, like it is.
Sure. Yeah. They're still doing stories like that in papers. Absolutely.
They do, yeah. Because they want a sensation. So I went there anyhow, and it came a limousine to pick me up here at my house, out to the airport, first class, limousine in London, out to Pinewood Studios, you know. And I was thinking, this is surrealistic. And I was coming in there, and the first thing I did, they told me, bring your training suit on, or with you. So I came into this big studio where the stunt team were, and they say, yeah, we're going to do a little fighting scenes with you and a little stretching and a little like a warm up, and you're going to spend a couple of hours here, and then Sam Mendes will meet you in the afternoon. Okay, cool. So, first of all, they asked me, can you drive motorcycles? No, I can't, sir. I'm sorry, that's not my thing. Okay, yeah, but that's not a big issue, they told me. And but can you fight a little bit? Yes, I can. So then we started to do this warm up and stretching and stuff. And the first thing I did, I went almost down in split. And they were like, okay. And then I can't remember his name, an Asian guy, really cool guy who's working with Gary Powell there. So he was holding the mitts and the pads for me and said, okay, can you do little punches? And then I start to hit and kick, and they said, okay, we got nothing to teach you, except you are too good of a fighter. If you film fight is something else, you have to like open up more. A fighter is like this. They won't let you in. But there you have it. So I said, yeah, I know, that's no problem. So that thing went quite good. And then they put me in that dressing room or whatever, where actors hang out, and it was nice, and there was a little television and food, and I was lying on the couch in a couple of hours, and then they come and get me and say, oh, Sam Mendes would like to see you now. It's an audience now for, you know, your majesty. And okay. So I met him, and he was a really nice guy, and we were talking a little bit, and he said, yeah, I've seen your work you've been doing, and I also saw you've been doing cabaret on stage, like the musical. Yeah, I said, yeah, I did that for 2 years, a couple of years ago. And he said, yeah, I directed that one here in England. Okay, we started to talk about that. And then he said, okay, here it is, Jens. If you don't get this part, maybe there is another part for you, like Javier Bardem's henchman. Is that okay? Yeah, whatever. So then I went home. Sure. So then I went home, and then took a week or two, and then they called me again and said, no, you won't get that first part, which actually went to Ola. But they said, yeah, but if he would like to be in the movie, he can be a henchman to Javier Bardem. And I said, fine, let's go. So that was the whole thing about it.
I had no idea that you were sort of in the discussion for the Patrice character. I didn't know that.
Yes, I was. That was the first one I tried for. So the Patrice, but never mind. When I saw that one, actually, it was a little bit more screen time than mine, but he didn't have any dialogue. He was just fighting and doing his motorcycle stuff. And then when it came further on to that scene with Daniel Craig, they actually asked me, first it was meant to be that we should fight in the woods or something on top of the ice or anything. And I was supposed to have a fight with Daniel Craig, and the other henchmen, they were just henchmen. So I got a little bit more the top of the henchmen.
Screen time in a sense.
Yeah, I have more screen time.
Yeah.
And they said to me, one of the guys, if you got a close up in a film like this, that's a cool thing. And I thought, like, in Sweden, everyone who is in, if we have a scene there, my face is on, it's a close up. It's normal, but obviously not there. So, but they kind of waited for the moment, and then we got this mail. Is Jens okay with water? And I felt like, oh my God, I'm not.
No. You're not.
No.
I can swim, but I no, he's gonna fight Daniel Craig under the water. And I say, yeah. The question was, say no or do it. I was there, so I said, of course, I'm fine. So we started to go into that big tank in Pinewood.
Okay.
And I think I had 1 or 2 weeks preparation with the diving team and everything, and learn how to do everything. And then me and Daniel Craig had 1 day in preparation to do all the choreography. And Daniel said to me, Jens, I think we're going to do this on the day when it's time. And I thought, like, yeah, of course. And the next time when we came there, it wasn't that simple. It was exhausting. I think we did that scene for 1 week. Daniel Craig was there for 1 day because he went on to other stuff. And I was hanging there for 4 or 5 days. And I had my body double who did things that I wasn't supposed to do. But I remember the first morning when we should start the shooting, we going down on the bottom of that tank, and they had a little platform there. And you can hear the voices in the speakers under the water and everything. So they were standing outside glasses in the tank, and Sam Mendes gave directions, and directing his assistant, they were talking like, do you hear us, guys? And we were, yeah. And then we were sitting, Daniel and me, on that platform, and was, I don't know, 6 meters under the surface. And divers all around, and the cameraman and everything. And we had these regulators and masks and those clothes. The first position was him putting my throat into his legs and try to, strangle me. So they put him in the position of that, and then they were supposed to. And when they did that, we can hear, okay, prepare for action, regulators out, boop, masks off, and then his position, and then action. I think we did for 8 seconds, but it felt like 8 hours. And the lungs, they told us that the lungs would go down to size of a walnut when it comes to taking air. You know, they didn't shrink, but they were. It's difficult to take in because everything closes up, of course, or shut down. And thank you. You can hear that, and then it came from nowhere. Whoop, that regulator, and then they put the mask on. I mean, taking it off, and I was sitting down and waiting for the next one, and I felt like this was 9 o'clock in the morning, and we had 12 hours a day.
Oh my God!
Thinking, I fuck this. I'm leaving. This is not what I'm signing for. And then I looked at Daniel Craig. Because he was sitting next to me, and he was like, I saw in his eyes as well, he was kind of exhausted. I mean, it's tough. So he did like, are you okay in a way? Yeah. And I do it. And it was that thing. And I felt like, yeah, I've been actually standing in a boxing ring. So come on, Jens, do it. So that was, and after a while, it went on and on and on, and fine, we did it. So, but that was a little tough experience for me.
Oh my God!
I don't think that's necessarily what you thought you were getting into when your friend approached you at the airport like a year before.
No. Of course not. Of course not. And then the whole bizarre thing was, after you've been down there for like half an hour, then you have to get up above the surface, and they have to do another rig and everything. And then you will stand, and then you have to equalize your air. What do you call it? Pressure. Yeah, you can go down again. So you go down and up and down. But if you can stay down there, the longer you can, the less of this you do. But then you have to go up sometimes. And then we were standing there when we were up to water up to the chest in our clothes, and then it came like small. It looks like small boats with tea and biscuits come wobbling on. You want some biscuits? You want a tea? So I think I was standing there with Daniel Craig and had a tea time in this tank with all these divers around, and that was absolutely absurd.
They must have been the best biscuits you've ever had in your life.
Yeah, kind of. And it was and he was like, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I thought we was doing this on, I was wrong. This was tougher than I thought. So even for him, who's probably been doing this a lot of times. But so that was, welcome to Hollywood.
I was going to ask, when you're being directed in this scene, is Sam Mendes shooting all of the material you're doing, or is there also like the second unit coming in?
They have a second unit as well, yeah.
Let's have your masks off when you're ready. Thank you.
165 Aston, take 3. A camera.
Okay, here we go.
We're here at SpyMaster Studios, the underwater stage. It's 1.2 million litres, globally unique. There's nowhere else in any studio with a permanently filled underwater stage. It's 20 metres long by 10 metres by 6 metres deep.
3, 2, 1, and action.
It's quite a huge sequence with so many moving parts and so many elements, and this is just one beat of the action. That being said, Daniel's pretty game for anything.
He was in the water a lot yesterday. Not only has he got to concentrate on the fight, he's got to concentrate on the acting as well. And it is tiring because you're moving a lot more than you think you are. Just lifting your arm, there's more weight on it because you're underwater and all that. So, he probably had a really good night's sleep.
And cut, and we've cut.
When shooting underwater, make it look exciting, dangerous and real, and the audience, hopefully, will buy it. My responsibility as the director of photography, the underwater DP, is to light and shoot the scene. Well, I can't do that by myself. So first of all, I send a picture to the surface so the director and everybody up here, makeup, wardrobe, hair, everyone, can see what we're actually doing. Once we put the actors underwater, they need to ideally hear from the surface what they're supposed to do.
Mike, can you get underneath Daniel's knee looking up this time?
So Francoise talks to the actors underwater on behalf of the director through very high quality underwater loudspeakers.
Very nice, guys. Let's reset for one more, please.
Once we've shot something, I've got an underwater monitor and I can show the actor underwater afterwards the scene. The director can modify their performance as well. That was great, Daniel. Could you look up a little bit more to the left next time? So that it saves everyone coming up, going back down, coming up, going back down. And that's the secret of working here. Preparation and planning. But most important is safety.
Dave, out of the way, please. Thank you. Okay, you're clear. 3, 2, 1, action!
We train and we rehearse and we cover all the bases. So we always train with masks on and we build up everyone's confidence and then we take masks off. It's the same environment, but you just can't see anything. So you know that the diver's on the left or the diver's on the right, but you just can't physically see them, so you just have to rely on them. But you've done that training time and time again.
Also, what you've got to remember is we've got like a 20-foot drop, so when they're dropping, you've got to equalise your ears. So they've got to try and do that without sort of doing a fight scene, and they're fighting, and they're doing that every 3 seconds through the fight, because it will obviously look bad. So it's getting them used to being able to do that, so they don't have to use their hands.
Is everyone okay? Thank you.
You need to raise the ante as the movie is going, and this movie really takes that to the next level, I think. I think they've done an amazing job.
We actually work for the audience, and that's the most important thing. If the audience believe in what we're doing, that's our success.
Everyone to surface, please. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, because I wasn't sure how that was divided up.
But I was fortunate to work with him. The most of the things I did, maybe it was a couple of those days in the tank where actually he went on and they had a second unit. But he was there when Daniel was there, of course. But then I remember I remember when we, in the end of the film, when the helicopter's coming down, and the henchman coming out from the helicopter, and Javier Bardem is leading us through that castle, and everything should explode, and that rig they've been preparing for months. Like, it's once it starts to explode, it's one take. You can't miss it, right? So when we come there, and this is after we've been doing 2 weeks of training in the studio with SAS soldiers, and it was very. And then when we came there, Sam Mendes walked us through the take. Okay, guys, this is what we're gonna do. You come out of the helicopter, and then we walk around here, and then we drop you off. We drop you off. We drop you off. The camera is following Javier, and Jens is right behind him. And the last guy we drop off is you, Jens, and then the camera follows Javier, and that's it. Okay, good. Any questions? And then I feel my own arm coming up. It's like Tourette's. I don't know why. I got a question. Yeah. What? When you drop me off and the camera leave me, do I stop acting? I hear myself. This is lost in translation.
Yeah.
I didn't mean stop acting, but I thought like, I'm not in the frame.
Sure. Yeah.
Do I stop acting? And he was like, what do you mean stop? What do you mean stop? Yeah. And then he come up to me and he was like 2 heads shorter than me and was looking up and he said, Jens, when the camera rolls, you never stop acting, do you? No. And I felt like a 12-year-old who's been doing something naughty. And then the stunt guy was standing next to me and he said, no problem. That was lost in translation. I understand what you mean. But for me, afterwards, I thought, like, why the fucking hell should I put my arm up and ask that question? There was nothing for me to do. It just go with the role. And then when I analyzed myself, it was like, I'm used to do bigger parts in Sweden. I do lead roles in Sweden. So I just wanted to be as important as Javier Bardem. That was actually why I analyzed afterwards. But I couldn't stop myself. So I felt like a moron. But the fragile ego of an actor.
At least you got to get it does. At least you got to get told off by Sam Mendes though. Like that's always fun. Who wouldn't want that?
Who wouldn't want that? And he forgot it. Forgot the whole thing the same as he turned his back to me. That was just.
Yeah.
He just didn't. He was so stressed, of course, because this was a big take. But I felt like Peter Sellers in when he's the Indian Hurundi Bakshi from the 70s. Have you seen that?
Party. Yeah, the movie Party. Yeah.
When he's fucking the whole setup. I felt like him. You know, when he comes up to the studio director and he said, "I'm gonna make sure that you never ever ever get any part in any movies. Is that include television too?" I felt like him. Almost as
I'm now picturing you in the background of that scene where like it's focusing on Javier and you're like doing like just like looking around with a gun or something.
Yeah.
Really going for it.
The guy who never would die, he will never get out of frame. He's just in there taking his shots. That was exactly so. Yeah. So that was my fantastic time with Bond, but I had a good time. That was no problem.
I was going to ask quickly about that helicopter landing scene, because there's the moments where Javier Bardem is, barking at Bond inside the estate, and every time they're showing you guys out there with the helicopter blades going, whatever, the debris in the air looks awful. Like it's just dust and smoke everywhere around you guys. Like, was it really unpleasant to film, or is it more just?
Yeah, it was kind of like you say, it was the real deal, so to speak. But of course, the helicopter wasn't on the whole time when we did the whole thing, but they put it on when they needed to. But yeah, it was a cool. We were out on the moor somewhere in England. I don't know where, but it was really nothing there except this big castle that they, of course, built. It was a studio, but it was really cool to watch.
And I would imagine very impressive to see when it was all lit on fire as well.
Yeah, it was amazing. The whole crew, there was so many people. There was like hundreds of them who had something to do there. I don't know what everyone did. In Sweden, we have a film crew of 25 people. It was like 250 people. And everyone was there doing something. But everything stopped when this boom came up. And everyone was there with their phones and filmed it because it was spectacular in a way.
The only question I've got, because you've walked us through it, and I think your story sounds fantastic, and I will never not see that scene without you in the background of it now.
Yeah, exactly.
You've changed the film for the millions listening as well. So
that's
you've
good.
done.
That's good.
Daniel Craig, you spent a day practicing, and then a couple of days shooting the underwater sequence as well. Obviously, spent a lot of time with him. Can you tell us about that? Any particular stories of hanging around with Daniel Craig?
Nothing special, except that he was what you call a nice bloke.
Yeah.
He was cool. He wasn't anything special. He was settled down. He was cool. He was like, yeah, let's do this. And we small talked about everything and nothing. But I remember him as a really soft guy.
And I'm going to talk about this again when we get to Rogue Nation in a second, but I think I've seen a photo of you at one of the press events, the premiere for Skyfall. Do you remember doing much about the press for that?
No, only in Sweden, I think.
Okay, that's the photo I've seen. Yeah, okay. Well, that's Bond, but a few years later, you get another phone call. That phone call might explode after 5 seconds. You have to be careful with that. But you took that phone call. And Mission Impossible happens. And what was the story for Mission Impossible? How did that come your way?
The story was I was getting a new agent in Sweden. Her name is Laura, and she has a lot of famous actors in her. She also had Rebecca Ferguson and Alicia Vikander and stuff. Of course, they had their own crew in London and LA and whatever, but she's the Nordic agent for these persons. So I got her because I had another agent with Skyfall, and then she stopped, and I wanted to move on, and then I got this Laura and her actors in Scandinavia, and they are like big, and they really have focus on doing international films as well. So I had a meeting with her, and we were sitting down. She said, "Yeah, I think I can help you, to get the job with that accent." Now they have sometimes we have Mission Impossible, but I think they are already done. But yeah, they come other stuff, other work, other jobs. Okay, cool. But then she called me up 2 weeks later and said, actually, there is self-tape they want you to do for Mission Impossible. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So I got the scene, which is basically the first scene you see in the film, in the dungeons where I beat him up when he's standing on the pole. And in that particular thing, it was written and translated in Swedish because he should be Swedish and talking Swedish to Ilsa in a language that Tom didn't understand, or Ethan. So for me, it was kind of, wow, it's in Swedish. I can be fully myself. Mm-hmm. And at that time we were shooting this series I told you about, Johan Falk, when I was this gangster with and stuff. So basically we had the studio where we were shooting were also dungeon, like, so it was perfect. So we went down there and I asked Alexander Karim, you know who that is? He was in Gladiator 2.
The name rings a bell for sure.
He was in Gladiator 2 now. He's Swedish. He's a black guy, but he's Swedish and he good looking. He's doing an international career now as well. But however, he was in the same film as me, Johan Falk. So I asked him, can you kind of shoot me here and help me to send it? Because again, it was this technical thing that I'm not so familiar with. And he said, yeah, sure. So we did one take down in that dungeons and he was directing me and it went really well. And we did one take and he said, okay, I don't think you're going to need anything else. Just send this one. Yeah, but it's going to be better. No, this is perfect. We send it. So we sent it away to them, and then we got another self-tape. I can't remember if it's the right order, but however, we got another. They asked me for another tape, and that was a monologue, and then that was actually tryout for that thing that Sean, what's his name? The villain, Sean.
Oh, Sean Harris?
Sean Harris. That was that part as well. They wanted me to try for that one. I don't know why they did that, because they didn't say, oh, this is for the main villain. They just said, can you do this as well? I don't know if they wanted to see me speaking English. I don't know. But I did that as well and sent that one in as well, and it went quite okay. And it took 1 week or two, and then I got a mail from my Finnish agent when she was saying, yeah, like, yes. And that's it. Like, okay, this is probably good. So I called her up and I said, yeah, what? They loved it. TC loved it. TC, is that a studio or... Come on, Jens. Come on, Jens. It's Tom Cruise. Okay. So he loved it. So he and Chris McQuarrie, they told me when I arrived, they said that self-tape was even better than the end result. They really loved it. So that was it. And then I went over there and met them and got the part. And then we started to work on it. And the thing was, when I arrived there, my first shooting day on that film, because in the script it was like Janik Winter was his name. Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
Is fighting in the dungeon with Tom Cruise, and then they kick him into whatever, and he probably dies. That was the original thought of that character. He should be taken away after that one. Gone. Bone Doctor is no more. And the first shooting day I had there, it was in a hotel room where Sean Harris was sitting and Ilsa was in that hotel room. And when she's leaving the hotel room and goes out, she meets Johnny Winter in the door, right?
Yeah.
He goes into that hotel room. So that was the first day of shooting, and we were doing that. And I was thinking that the other one is in the beginning of the film. So this must be before the actual fight in the dungeon, I was thinking, because I haven't read the whole script. They only gave me paper, side. So I asked Chris McQuarrie, okay, I'm going to ask you, is this before or maybe after he's taken away? After. So he doesn't die. No. Okay, so this is, no, man, you're in the show. Okay, cool. And then Tom came in and said, yeah, well, welcome. So they thought I was so fantastic, but they liked me. So they said, we want to give you a bigger part in this film. So we want you playing the whole film through. We're going to kill you in the end or something. But right now you're in the film. So that was really a positive surprise. I felt like, okay, cool. I said, thank you. And I remember Tom said, don't thank me. Thank yourself. It's because of you. We don't do charity. We like you. Okay, cool. So that was my first day and entrance into the film. And that was, if I thought I was doing a small one in Skyfall, this was kind of not the lead acting, but it was one of the main cast. So
like secondary antagonist,
yeah, and I'm actually in the, what do you call it,
the credits, the opening credits. Yeah, it's like, and Alec Baldwin, and I'm before him. Tom Holland, Jens Hultén, and Alec Baldwin. I thought, like, come on, man. Not a bad lineup there, is it? Not a bad lineup.
No. So I was happy about that. That was really cool. So then I spent 3 months in London on and off. So I had a really good time. And it was nice to work with Rebecca because we could sit in her trailer and talk Swedish and, between the takes. So that was, I had a lovely experience there.
Well, let's unpack that a little bit. Let's talk about Mission a bit more. I mean, the knife fight you have with Ilsa that ends up being the end of the Bone Doctor, that's quite an elaborate knife fight. I'm sure there's probably some doubling in there for certainly Rebecca, but you've got the martial arts background. What went into preparation for the knife fight?
Yeah, we had 1 week of choreographing with Eastwood. I think his name is the stunt director. Sure. Wade Eastwood.
Wade
Eastwood. I think he's from Australia originally.
Yeah.
But he's a really cool guy. So he and his guys and girls, me and Rebecca, we were doing 1 week of preparation for that one. It was choreographed and everything. So in the end, I think it was a kind of a cool fight.
Oh, yeah. It really does stand out in the movie. Like that.
Yeah.
As a finale, it's really fantastic.
Nu ska vi se vad du är gjord av.
But I remember also when I was chasing her in that Sherlock Holmes environment because that's what they wanted. And Tom was there and he did his stuff and jumping through a window and everything. And he was done, but he was also behind the camera or behind the monitor because he's the producer and everything.
Sure.
So he was sitting there and he was like, "Come on, Jens, run faster, run faster, run faster." And in the end, I thought, "Come on, Tom, I can't run faster than this. I'm gonna break a leg." And I'm like an elk, you know. I'm doing like this. Yeah, but you can run faster. No, I can't. And I just have to say, it's not the one who's chasing who have to run fast. It's the chosen one who have to run fast. She's the rabbit. I'm the big bad wolf. I don't have to be fast. I can just lurk and, you know, yeah, I buy that. So yeah, but he was cool because he was so enthusiastic. But also when I told him why, I also thought like this is how fast the character runs. I said, I buy that. He's so professional, so he just wanted to. If I just said no, I'm lazy, he would have said fuck off. Mm-hmm. But I also had a thought about behind it, and he was like, no problem, I buy that. That's cool.
Well, he met you on like an actor level, like he understood your motivation.
Yeah. So it was when he watched, he thought like, you should try to run faster. And I tried first, but then I felt like, no, I can't because I'm going to hurt myself. He's a sprinter. I'm not. I'm 190 tall. He's a little bit shorter than me and he runs faster. But he was cool. So we met like two equals there.
Well, you're never going to get a better run than Tom Cruise because he's famous for having that run.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what he's known for.
You are the runner. Yeah,
that's his thing.
Yeah, of course. So, but what I liked about him was that he is what he is. He's the big star.
Yeah,
the superstar. But also when we were there and we were working, it's like two actors. We're in the same age, and we've been. Maybe he's been doing this a little bit longer than me, but not much. So actually, we have kind of the same track record, just that he's been doing these international big movies, but I've been doing the same job in Sweden. So practically, we are the same. We do the same job. We can do the same thing. So it wasn't like me watching up to a guru. It was just two actors, two professional guys who was talking, and that. I really appreciate him for that, and then Craig as well. There were no like me being the superstar kind of at all. So I felt welcomed,
like seen, like in a sense, like you were respected for your contribution.
Exactly. And they were very respectful, and they were also listening. If I had something to say, cool. So that was, but of course, the first day when I was standing there and I was supposed to punch him, then I thought, this is Tom Cruise I'm going to beat up. But I saw him in Top Gun when I was a kid. Yeah. But actually, no, kid, you're his age. He was a kid too. But still, it was Tom Cruise. But once you get over that, it's like if you're going to play football, you come from Sweden and then you meet the big footballer and then you're in the same team. It's like, we are here on the same premise.
What I really love about that scene you have where you're going to torture him is the way you like enter very relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like an intense entrance. It's not like the big villain like stomping through the door. It's like the most relaxed, almost like bored.
Yeah,
like, I have to do this now. And I was just going to ask you, just from the point of view of acting, when you're playing someone who is kind of the villain heavy, often these roles don't have a lot of dialogue. How do you kind of create a character through body language, and what sort of are you looking at maybe on the page to kind of inspire that?
I think it's just, for me, it's just come natural because I know how a dangerous guy could be moving. I mean, you can see on the body language if someone can handle himself or not. And I am relaxed, and I also have my martial arts and I have my physique. So I I know if I'm just entering here, the cooler I am, the more dangerous I'm gonna be when it happens. But it's like anything that has to do with acting, don't reveal it before. It will come like a surprise for people. If I play, here I am and I'm the bad guy. If that's my intention, then I've spoiled the whole thing. For me, it's like, okay, let's see what are we gonna do here. Yeah, I want to have a cup of coffee. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna beat you up first. If I had that one, it could be more intimidating in a way. And then that's also the way I move. It felt like it's my room, it's my space. I'm coming in there, everyone is waiting for me. It's like, I think it was here in Sweden, a big actor, many in the 50s or 60s. They say, yeah, you're going to play the king. No, I don't have to play the king. The king is a king. You don't have to play king. And that is something that you can bring in every part you do. I don't have to play it. I am. If I'm the king, I don't have to show that. Other one shows that I'm a king. And this room with Tom Cruise and everything, this Yannick Winter Bone Doctor is coming in. They already gave him the big entrance. So the only thing you have to do is just slide in there. Everything it's a setup, you know. So the more cool you can be about it, the more tense it's going to be in the end, I think.
And that moment where you remove your ring by like sucking your finger, was that in the script? Because that feels like such an odd moment. It's great.
And they loved it, and they thought like, that was so cool. It's in the show, man. We're going to keep that. We're going to keep that. That was Tom and McQuarrie. They were like small kids. They were, if you understand what I'm saying, they were like, yeah. They were so enthusiastic about it. But there was nothing I was thinking about. It was just the ring was a little bit too tight. Get it off. It was, it slipped off easier.
Natural.
But nothing said I would take it off. But it was a claw. And I thought, like, if I'm going to be there and try, I can actually, if I miss, I'm going to scratch his face or whatever. So for me as an actor, I don't want to do that. So I think I better take it off. So when I did, that was hard. So I did. So everything came in a natural way. And probably because of that, it become very strong thing, because I didn't try to show it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thought that I had. And they thought, like, this is great. We're going to keep this. This is lovely.
It's natural, and it feels like something the character's done a lot of times.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's people, so that was the story about the ring. But
we spoke a little bit about Sam Mendes, but Christopher McQuarrie, this is the first time he's directing a Mission Impossible film. He'll go on to do 3 more after this. What was Chris like as a director, and what was sort of he offering you as advice for what you did on screen?
Chris was cool. He just gave me this is the scene, this is what we're going to do, and you come in there and do your thing. He didn't have so much to say because it's not like my character is going to reveal his whole life. It's not that part. It's still a henchman in a way. Yeah.
Sure.
So go in there, be aware, and look what happened and act. That's it. So, but he was enthusiastic about it. Like I told you about that ring, when they give you that encourage, it's like, it gives you a little boost. So, and with Sam, I can't say he directed me so much because I didn't have so much to do in that film, except asking stupid questions.
Well, speaking of Skyfall moments, you mentioned the moment where T turned up on a little float. Was there any equivalent odd moments where you had to kind of maybe pinch yourself when you're doing Rogue Nation?
No, not in that way. No, everything just being there were weird in a way. But when I was, it's this small moments when you're sitting in Skyfall, for an example, in the makeup trailer, and I have Judi Dench and I have Javier Bardem in the same, it's like, okay, I'm here, fine. You see me, Dad? I'm here. And I remember one thing in Skyfall, I was walking through the corridors in Pinewood Studios, and then I had an assistant with me, and she said, "Oh, here comes Albert. You have to say hello to him." And there comes Albert Finney. I mean, for me, that is even bigger than meeting Tom Cruise, because Albert Finney, for me, he's from the time where the really old actors. So he was stomping, and he put his hand out and said, "Hey, who are you?" I'm Jens. And what's your surname? Don't you remember your surname? Hultén. Jens is good. So he didn't want to repeat, but he was very nice. So I shook Albert Finney's hand. I think that's a story to tell. Because for me, he's one of the greatest actors for real. I mean, he's been doing so much for so long. I mean, he was playing. I mean, it was him and Tom Courtenay in The Dresser. I mean, for me, that is acting for real. James Bond and Mission Impossible, don't get me wrong, but it's not that acting. I mean, acting for me is the classics where you have, this is action. Of course, you need to act as well, but you know the difference, right?
Yeah, totally, 100%. Yeah,
it's not Shakespeare.
Exactly, without taking anything off Bond and Mission Impossible. But for me, acting is, that's why I started this job, to do Strindberg, Shakespeare, and go really deep into the emotions of people or characters. But then, of course, it's a bonus to do cool films like that. So for me, Albert Finney and The Dresser and Tom Courtenay, that's like, oh my God, this is acting for me. And I'm sure both Tom Cruise and Daniel Craig would agree with me about that.
And it's great that it was like meeting your heroes and having a good experience.
It was. I really loved it. And I'm still very grateful for the part. I mean, the part in Skyfall, fantastic, but it was actually Tom Cruise and Chris McQuarrie who actually put me in that film, and they extended it for me. So I'm really grateful for that.
And what was the experience like doing the kind of the big release period of the film, like going to the premiere?
We went to Vienna. And I remember it was 30 degrees. It was so hot that day. And I was coming there in tuxedo and everything. And I remember in the afternoon, we were supposed to go on the red carpet, I don't know, 6 o'clock, and then the film would start 8 o'clock or something. But really, with 3 or 4 o'clock, Tom Cruise was standing outside the Vienna Opera in black T-shirt and jeans, and was doing selfies with thousands of fans outside who wasn't supposed to get in to watch the movie. And he was standing there for 2 hours and did selfies. That's a commitment, I say, and very professional. And then he changed and got into tuxedos as well. And then we walked the red carpet, and I was doing interviews with the press from all over the world. And then when we enter up on stage, I was actually standing on stage and before the film is performed. And they call out my name, and I thought, like, yeah, this was good. Thinking of way back when I didn't get into acting school and I was drinking, and I thought, like, yeah, Jens, you did a good job. Get you all the way here. And then when the film started, it was this big IMAX screen on the Vienna Opera. It was fantastic. And then I looked back 2 rows behind me. Tom Cruise was sitting with his popcorn, and he watched the movie like he never saw it before. You know, he was like a little kid who's going to see his first movie. he's so committed to film. He really loves film. And he probably seen this one hundreds of times when they did and everything. But for him, it was like, yeah, that's sweet, isn't it?
I think people have this like false idea that Tom Cruise is like a brand in a sense, like he puts it on. But everyone we've ever spoken to that have worked on the Mission Impossible films and other films that he's worked on with them have said how committed he is to every production he's ever done, how much he puts himself into it. You even said before, like he was shooting a scene and then you were shooting a scene with Rebecca and he was there. Yeah, like, he didn't need to. He could have gone.
He could have gone. And he's so committed because he wants everything to be at the best that he can perform with himself in front of the camera or outside. It doesn't matter. This is his mission. And he's totally enthusiastic and so professional. And he can be tough and he can be happy and he can be friendly, whatever. But he's the captain of the board, so to speak. Chairman of the board. So, yeah, he is what he is.
I mean, you know, I'm jealous of you in a sense. I mean, not only did you get to share all that time with Tom Cruise, but you got to be killed in a way that I think many people would love to be killed, and that is at the hands of Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah,
and strangled to death by James Bond in a tank. I mean, what more can you ask for?
That's a resume right there.
I mean, that's better than hanging on the cross, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll take it. Well, I'm curious. We'll start to wrap it up because I want to get you out. But one question I like to ask, because a lot of people who are listening to this show are familiar with spy movies. They've seen Skyfall. They've seen Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. What's something else that you've been in that they can recommend they can check out to see more of you? Perhaps something akin to it.
No, but the Swedish films, I don't think they will see because they're not in Sweden.
Sure.
But I did this film called Alpha. It's
with the wolf, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
These are the three films. I just studio films. That's it. I haven't done anything else outside my own country. I've been shooting a film in Denmark and then in everything here in Sweden. So no more international stuff. Alpha, Skyfall, and Mission. That's it.
Not a bad trilogy right there.
Nah, you have to stop on top, or what do you say?
Well, then the last question we'll wrap it up with. And as I say, listeners of the show are big spy movie fans. So are we. It's about spy movies. The whole show is.
Yeah, I understand.
So I'm going to throw the question at you. Jens, we want to know, what is your favorite spy movie of all time?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, there is one I like very much, and actually a Swedish director, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. It's a really good spy movie.
Great film.
First of all, so many good actors. I love Gary Oldman, and Thomas Alfredson is a Swedish director. I really hold that one as one of the best spy movies, I would say. But then, of course, but then, of course, I love the last Mission Impossible. Isn't so bad. It's kind of cool. The last James Bond with, or everything in the. I also love Live and Let Die, even if that's something completely else. You know.
Oh, interesting. Oh, so what is it about Live and Let Die that stands out?
I don't know. It's because I was a young boy when that one came out, and you could see, and the title music with Wings and Paul McCartney and everything. I just like the vibe of it. It's not a good film, of course. It's a children's movie in a way, but I like the, I don't know. It's something about it. It's a nerd thing,
Yeah. Was it the first one you ever saw?
Nah, I'm not sure. One of those, or it could be anything with 007 with Sean Connery.
Yeah.
When he's fighting with Robert Shaw, when he is crew cut and blonde.
Russia with Love.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's one of the first I ever saw, and that's a cool film as well.
It's a good place to start.
Exactly, but in quality, of course, the latest, the last James Bond and the last Mission Impossible, all of them from Rogue Nation and forward, but even the first Mission Impossible with John Voight, it's also a good film.
Yeah,
the very first one. So that is more like a spy movie in a way than everything extended to bombastic,
bigger
mega
and
action.
bigger as they went. Yeah,
exactly. But I like when you're really sneaking around the corner and trying to look for. So I would say the best movie that I can think of is Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, because that's a really spy movie, isn't it?
I think a lot of people listening will be happy you said that.
Yeah.
It's a beloved movie. A lot of people wish there'd been a follow-up, but there was obviously stuff behind the scenes that mean that didn't happen. But we would have loved to have seen more Gary Oldman as Smiley.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who did the first one? Was Alec Guinness, right?
Alec Guinness did it on TV in the 70s. Yeah.
And they did that film as well, called something else. Did it call the Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy when Alec Guinness did it?
That was a TV series basically. There was Smiley's People and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which was based on 2 books. They were like 6-part series, so long form in that sense. But Tinker Tailor and maybe The Last Mission and The Last Bond, a good trifecta right there.
Kind of.
Yeah, I'd watch those again. No, yeah.
Cool.
Jens, it's been a genuine pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for taking us through Skyfall, for Rogue Nation, and we wish you all the best. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us.